Welcome to Degenerate Sports Talk. I'm your host, Paul Robinson. As always, I'm joined by my absolutely nuts, bananas, crazy peoples and cohorts from across the pond, Mr. Jason Hall, everybody's favourite redneck, Mr. John Gaskins, and for some reason, a Fred Durst wannabe in the corner there, Ken Kang. Evening, gentlemen. How are we? We all had a nice week, I hope. I got to be honest with you. We're trying something new this week with some new toys because I'm back at the mothership. See, rocking out with my Newton Brewers jersey. God love it, my team. But baseball spring training delayed till 5th of March due to the ongoing CBA negotiations. Gaskins, my blood pressure monitor will go up in the screen next week, I promise you. And just for you, because I lost my bets, there's a lovely little picture right on screen of Monica and Bill doing miracle things. Just for you. So I'm honouring my bet. It's not behind me, I know, because my screen doesn't allow it, but it's right there in the bottom corner underneath our lovely little Degenerate Sports Talk banner that we've got now as well. But baseball, we knew it was coming. We know the CBA negotiations have been, an absolute pain in the backside for months. Anybody got any new thoughts on the negotiations this week? I mean, the owners walked out after the 15 minutes of the last meeting. For me, that's not negotiating in good faith. And quite honestly, I'm sick and tired of it. The owners have the ability to stop this lockout. The owners have the ability to get spring training started. They're choosing not to. They're trying to put pressure on the Players Association. And it's enough. They're going to kill the sport of baseball. Please, somebody else talk about this because I've had enough. And the blood pressure monitor, it's going to start going beep, 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 all the way through. Gaskins, kick us off, mate.
I told you. I mean, I've been telling you for months until it starts hitting them in the pocket. It's all posturing. The meeting was posturing. All this. Do you think the veterans that are representing the Players Association, do you really think they give two shits about spring training? They've been through enough of them. They don't care if it gets canceled. But when it starts getting to their paychecks, that I tell them, what's March 31st is opening day, right?
It's supposed to be 31st of March. That's correct.
April 1st, you'll see serious negotiations.
You really think until then?
Okay, because for both sides, what's it about?
So it's not. Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just about money at this point now. It's about arbitration years and everything else. And
it's about money.
Yeah, but you got to look at it the other way as well. They're trying to fix the service time manipulation like that happened with Chris Bryant.
It's about money.
That's true. I could give you that one. But fine, you know what?
It's hitting them in the pocket. They're not. It's all posturing. I told you. Watch the Animal Channel and the little animals do the dance before they actually fight, and that's what you'll see for the entire month of March.
Oh, good God. Ken, come on, you got to have something that's not money related with regards to the CBA talks. I mean, there's so many different things that they've been talking or are trying to talk about, but it seems to me that the owners aren't willing to at least negotiate, let alone anything else. I mean, 15 minutes for a meeting? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I got nothing that's not monetary related. I mean, it's all about the money. That's all it is. And it doesn't matter what they talk about. They don't. Neither side is going to budge until it hurts their pocketbook. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. Then they will. So, I mean, we've heard some different things like, yeah, they're going to go ahead universal DH.
That's a good thing for many things, but for many things about getting players paid and open up roster spots and not seeing the 95% of the pitchers that strike out, which is basically an easy out in the National League. But it does take away the spectacle of like the Madison Bumgarners and the Bartolo Colon like type of home runs that you get to see. I mean, Shohei Ohtani goes to an NL team while he's playing for the Angels, and he's automatically he's going to hit as well as pitch if he's on the mound there. I mean, it takes some of the majesty even, thank you, of the National League away from me. And it's the one thing about the National League I did enjoy. I enjoy watching pitchers hit. I mean, I said this in weeks prior that where we play baseball over in the UK and the pitchers hit. We don't have a designated hitter rule over here because it's not the premium version of the sport from a lot of people. I mean, a lot of old timers like the dinosaur in the corner there that is off everybody's favorite redneck. Even he has to agree that the universal designated rule, even though it's getting players paid and it's opening up bench spots for more hitters, which means more people get money, it does take away something that was a little bit different than the American League, and it's kind of like, but. I mean, that's literally so far in the entirety of the CBA negotiations is also the only thing that both sides have agreed on, which I find is ridiculous. I mean, it was the easiest one.
But you knew this was coming a year ago. Everyone a year ago knew that there was universal. This is nothing new. It's posturing. Again, feed them a little bit until, March 31st gets here.
Yeah, they've got. I mean, they've got more meetings scheduled for this week, and from what I understand from reports, that they're going to be meeting every day from Monday for God knows how long. It could be 5 minutes. Coffee and basically, a coffee and donut run, and that'd be about it. Say, oh hi, how you doing, Tony? How you doing, Rob? Both of these guys, quite frankly, are going to kill the sport. Them along with the owners. I think Tony Clark, Rob Manfred, and the majority of Major League Baseball owners right now should be shot out of a cannon into a sun, because quite honestly, they are going to put the final nail in the coffin of baseball from PR. And the owners aren't winning the war in the PR either, because again, I stated this a few weeks ago. This isn't like in the 90s when the players didn't have access to, maybe speak what they were speaking and how they wanted to speak their mind. This time around, it's the owners that have locked them out. It's the owners that continue to keep them locked out. It's the owners that continue to delay spring training at this particular point. And the owners are trying all the same old PR tricks that they tried way back when, and the same ones they tried to pull in 2020 with the shortened season with COVID hit, that aren't going to work because of things, the social media platform that players like Max Scherzer and Verlander and all the other types have got.
Trevor Bauer.
Why must you mention his name to me on this show? I mean, seriously, scumbag that he is. Yes, he's very active on social media. Whether or not anybody should actually listen to him is another matter entirely. And that personal opinion aside, I personally don't. I listen to stuff about him. I've listened to stuff he said, and just no. But why would you do? I mean, seriously, you asking for a blood pressure monitor on the screen down here? Poker bear get punched in the face. You seen that dude in Australia boxing a kangaroo? I mean, seriously, that's what's going to happen with me when you in Florida when I get in come October. But my point is this: the owners are going to lose this PR war this time. It's not like everybody gets their news from print media anymore. Nobody goes out and has a newspaper delivered or goes out and buys one from a stand anymore. 90% of the population are using smartphones and tablets and whatever else and online media. It's all very subjective depending on who you read and what you're listening to on the radios. But from a PR standpoint, the owners can't win this war this time, and that for me it's for me personally as a fan, I feel that it's just going to drive the casual fan, which is what they basically base their money on anyway, is going to drive those guys away, and diehards are going to have gotten to the point where we're so fed up it's a pots on both houses. Jason, I mean, you're not a massive baseball guy, I know, but please have an informed opinion on this that's not those two down there.
Well, to me, unfortunately, the first strike really that I remember is kind of what killed most of baseball for me. And I got back mainly because of fantasy baseball, but I'm back because several people told me, and I've gone to a couple games, but I feel like it's going to kill me wanting to pay money to go see the games again.
Yeah.
I'll still do the fantasy stuff, but I'm the casual fan that just got back into watching baseball in the last 2 years. I'm probably going to take a hiatus again.
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, I mean, I will watch the Tigers. I'll probably watch the Shohei Ohtani pitch because, the kid's a wonder, but it's kind of like, I'm getting to the point now where I got to agree with the sign behind Gaskins, who's basically put that up there straight for this segment. You can't fix stupid. And he's not, annoyingly, I hate agreeing with everybody's favourite redneck. Everybody knows this, but he's not wrong on this particular regard. You cannot fix this type of stupid. It's going to hurt owners in the pockets in the long run, let alone the short term. I mean, we're talking, we've got free agents that are coming up in the next few years that are going to be demanding severely big bucks, and we're going to talk about one of them in a few moments, because reports from Washington this week that prior to the lockout kicking in, the Washington Nationals were in talks with Juan Soto and offered him a 13-year deal at $350 million. Now, I posted this on Facebook, and Gaskins called this, and I hate giving this guy credit because he annoys me. Gaskins called this about 18 months ago when we were having a conversation when it came to fantasy and with wages and stuff like that for a couple of contracts leagues that we're in. And he's right. I think Juan Soto is going to be the first $500 million player. I really think so. And I don't think it's over 13 years. I think it's over 12, maybe 11 with a set of a 12-year option. But I mean, the kids turned it down according to all reports, and betting on himself to have a couple of wonder years before he hits free agency. And, that's a big chunk of change to kind of say, you know what? Nah, I think I'm going to wait for a minute. Gaskins, I mean, you called this from the start. I mean, $350 million over 13 is no small chunk of money. He's turned it down. He's betting against himself. Do you think he gets the $500 million?
If he stays healthy for 2 more years, yeah. But 350, that's a lot of change to turn down when you're 22 years old. I'm not sure if I would have done it at 22, but I mean, what if he gets injured? Serious injury. Run into the outfield wall, whatever injury, and then all that goes bye-bye. But no, if he stays healthy and entering
24, 25 years, year old season.
$500 million. I think he'll be the first $500 million player.
Do you think it's 10, 11, 12 years? You think?
No, I think it'll probably go out 13 to 15.
Really? Okay.
That's still an average annual salary, pretty good change. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely, you're absolutely right with that. But I mean, it's kind of like
30 tons of opt-out clauses, and
that's. Ben, you got any thoughts on Juan Soto turning down $350 million?
He's nuts, but I mean, you got to gamble on yourself, because if you don't, who's going to?
This is very true.
So, I mean, he's young. Even if he gets hurt, he's banking on, little injuries, not severe ones, which, I mean, we all hope for everybody that, there's no severe injuries.
We're obviously disappointed in the verdict.
Usually the case. But as long as he can dodge those, I mean, the way baseball's going, I don't see why not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm with Gaskins. It's kind of mind-boggling to see him turn down 350. But I mean, for a kid at that age, betting on himself and going after that big number, I mean, that's record-setting number. I mean, for me, that takes set of cojones, and a big-ass set of cojones at that. Jace, I mean, again.
No, dude, I'm going to say I will definitely take in the money, because I'm like, that's like life-changing money. Like, I don't know if an extra 100 with injury risk is worth, the odds of that happening. I think he could have countered and gotten down like 380 and just signed it and been done. That's
still would have. It wouldn't have given him Mike Trout money, but I think that's what he's looking to get. I mean, Trout's been Trout for years. I mean, he's earned his money and then some by just staying with the Angels anyway. But I mean, it's kind of like if Soto's looking to stay with one club for the entirety of his career, which is not a sure thing in this day and age anyway. I mean, he signs a 350 and just stays there. But I mean, if he's chasing record numbers of AAVs and of total monetary packages like 500 million, I mean, who in their right mind is going to pay this kid 500 million? The Yankees, Dodgers, maybe. The White Sox might be in a position to pull that off, but their outfield is stacked anyway, and they've got some really good prospects coming up that are going to make that logjam in outfield even worse. But they've got the capital there kicking around. Who else who else is going to be out there with that kind of change? I mean, out of maybe the Mets. I mean, Cohen's not, Cubs maybe, yeah. I mean, but the Cubs are looking at. I mean, we heard reports not last week, the week before, about Cubs and a Rizzo reunion. I mean, and he's not gonna cost them a whole lot. So I mean, the Cubs might have some money to pay him, but I mean, they're in what looks like the beginnings of a massive rebuild, and it was just going to take a few years.
We're talking in a couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean, but the Cubs. Yeah, but
they're only 24, 25, so he could be part of a rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, you would literally have a very good. I mean, you build around a guy like that, I suppose, especially if he stays injury free. I mean, it's staggering to think, though. I mean, $350 million. I mean, I'm with John on this one. I wouldn't. I think I would have just signed and said, you know what, I'm done for the day. That's me. Thank you very much. Check, please. Out
the fact that you're agreeing with me a lot lately.
I know it's. I got to be honest with you. I'm a little bit worried about my mental health at this particular point because of the fact that I'm agreeing with you so much.
But we're all on the same page.
No, this is true. In other baseball news this week, we've got Eric Case found guilty on 2 felony counts of distribution of deadly drug fentanyl, which was one of the primary causes of pitcher Tyler Skaggs' death. Big ass, and yet another big ass black eye on the sport of baseball to go with everything else that's currently going on. Found guilty, he faces a minimum of 20 years in prison and won't be sentenced until June. But this could also have repercussions on some players, is my takeaway from this, because they've had players coming in with was it Harvey, I think it was, we were saying a couple of weeks ago, with the distribution of Percocet, which I believe is a Scheduled 1 narcotic over in stateside, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that could get him a lengthy ban as well. I mean, we could be talking up to 2 years ban from baseball, which could be his career. I mean, Harvey's not exactly a young man anyway, but I mean, there's a few black eyes kicking around in the sport of baseball. Gaskins, you had your hand up straight away when I started mentioning this. I assume you've got something you want to say.
I was just pointing towards that. You can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
No, this couldn't happen at a better time. I know you keep saying black eye, but no one's got their eye on this story right now except the diehards. Everyone's worried about the lockout and everything, so it couldn't have happened at a better time.
You think it's
this type of story?
Fair. You think it gets lost in the background radiation and noise of the CBA negotiations?
Lockout and bumping spring training back, and all the noise and everything's towards the lockout. People aren't, diehards are keeping an eye on it. Locals are, but the ordinary fan. I mean, ask Jason. He probably doesn't know who Michael K is.
Eric K.
Him. So I don't know.
All right, no, but it's one of those stories this week that, I mean, obviously we kind of broached last week. It's obviously mostly for Angels fans and diehard fans as well. I mean, it's a tragic circumstances in the first place, but I mean, the fact that your justice system's actually kicked in and done. I mean, the jury took 2 hours to deliberate. I mean, that it was pretty much unanimous at that particular point. So I don't honestly. It's just like, it's kind of gut punch after gut punch after gut punch in the last few weeks for baseball. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, football's over. We've got hockey's not really a sport anymore. I mean, college football doesn't kick off until June. We got the draft coming up as well. Baseball this is the time of year where baseball should be thriving and is basically floundering around like a dead fish, and it's. I got to be honest with you, as a diehard Tigers fan, I'm finding it very distasteful. I really am, because I should be watching pitchers and catchers report. I should be watching early spring training games now, and I'm now we might not even get that till the middle of next month, and I'm just very disappointed, very angry, and I wouldn't say my blood pressure's risen, but it's definitely gone up a couple of ticks at the very least. But. It is what it is. So, but I mean, this week I know for a fact that at least 3 of us are in first-year player drafts for fantasy. Myself, Ken, and John Gaskins. Myself and Gaskins are in a couple together at the moment, which are getting a bit fruity. So off the cuff today, I want to ask you, who's a guy that you've kind of gone out and said, yeah, this is the guy that I've got to target. This is the guy I've got to have a lot of shares in this week. For me, we were talking about your top 10 international and, first year player draft picks from a couple of weeks ago, John. And for me was Oscar Colas, who's been kind of labeled as the Cuban Shohei Ohtani. Now, I've gone out, especially in the leagues where I've got drafts going on, where I will have him in my top 3 picks. Him, Sam Backman, and Jordan Wicks from the Chicago Cubs. Those have been my go-to 3 guys for a lot of the drafts that I've been in. I mean, these are all guys that are going to end up with either end of this season, or if it ever kicks off, or hopefully end of spring training next year, going to start maybe helping out their clubs. They've got really, really good player ratings across the boards. I mean, we went through them a few weeks ago. Who is it that you are targeting in these first year player drafts? I mean, for you especially, I mean, you are what is known as our baseball fantasy god around here. So drop some of that knowledge on us, bud.
Well, of course, you got your top arm, which would probably be Jack Leiter, which everyone, for Texas, everyone's, jumping on the bandwagon there. But the crop of hitters is a lot better this year. I mean, you got Meyer up in Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, Watson down in Miami, and all these shortstops. Can't remember the guy over in Arizona.
Lawler.
Yeah. Gordon Lawler, and then Brady House for Washington. I'm liking these hitters in this draft, and the international class is pretty good too with Arias, another shortstop for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And then speaking of Washington, when we're talking about Soto, they got Christian Vaquero.
Yes. I keep missing in every draft I've been in so far this week.
He is a toolbox. I mean, yeah, he's a toolbox. So if he pans out, but also Arias, the guy that the Yankees signed internationally, they're saying that his toolbox across is about the same as Wander Franco's was at the same age.
Wow, that's impressive. My only concern with Arias, and I have actually managed to grab him in a couple of leagues, including myself in Ken's AL versus NL. In fact, I'm pretty sure I took him with my only first round pick in that particular first year player draft. My only concern with him at the moment is that Volpe is coming in and is coming in as possibly this year's shortstop, and could quite easily keep Arias out of any kind of potential lineup if he has a breakout in the minor leagues in the next 2 to 3 years.
Good players play.
Not necessarily so. I mean, we've seen it before where they've been either traded and they don't turn into much because they're not trained properly, or they end up getting held back for an extra year and they fail to live up to the hype afterwards when they've been slugging away down in the minor leagues. So whilst you're right, good players do play, it doesn't always apply.
The tag I've seen on Arias from just about all the writers so far is he does nothing great, but nothing bad. So across the board, he's above average, but there's no standout tool. He doesn't have enormous power, bat-to-ball skills, or speed.
He's kind of a jack of all trades. Yeah.
Correct.
Ken, I mean, for you, I mean, you're in with me in the AL versus NL league. This obviously would happen for a few years, and we've had a couple of first year player drafts come up already. I mean, who are the guys that you've been targeting?
Well, I mean, I had a higher draft pick, so I got a Leiter. Then I came back with the Bachman.
Snipe me on Bachman.
I went ahead and got the Mazzucato from Kansas City.
I like that pick. I very much because I had him.
Later in the second.
Yeah, he fell to me in the was it the FBKL league, I believe, in the second round, and I was like, oh my god, he's still there. Yoink.
Yeah, right. The other guy that I really shouldn't tell you this because I'm looking at him on free agency or when the waiver wire pops open. But is your Detroit Madden?
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at him.
Okay.
I mean, I needed pitching anyways, so this is right up my alley. But I needed a lot of pitching.
No, it's, to be fair, with Madden, after doing a little bit of research on him, I've seen some video clips on because while spring training has been delayed, there are pitchers and catchers that are not on 40 mans have actually turned up in complexes at the moment. So, and they are actually doing some actual training and whatnot. But and I've actually seen some footage on Madden already, because it's obviously been posted all over Tigers. Him and Jackson Jobe have obviously been all over Tigers' social media recently with their stuff. Whilst my opinion on Jackson Jobe is my own personal opinion, and it's not somebody who I would personally draft, because I don't think he makes the majors, if I'm completely honest with you. Madden is a guy that I would keep an eye on, because if nothing else, he looks like he could be a hell of a piece coming out of anybody's bullpen. I think he will end up projecting to a bullpen role. He's got 2 fantastic pitches. I believe he's working on a slider curve type thing in spring training currently. But I mean, Madden's he's projected as a number 3 starter from most of the sites that I use, like RotoWire and Fangraphs and something like other places. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, a couple of years of starting, he turns into like a Michael Fulmer type and ends up at the back end of a bullpen and closing, because you know if the circumstances are, you know, in that kind of area for him. I mean, hopefully not as bad as it was for Fulmer, because obviously Fulmer had all the injuries that basically negated his his trade value. And obviously, Al Avila, everybody's favorite, Detroit GM, failed to, capitalize on his trade value at the time, much in the same way he failed to trade value on many other people. But, I would say, at worst, he's a decent back end of the bullpen type guy, maybe a number 3 starter. So Ty Madden's not a bad shout, to be fair. And, good luck to you, because you're not the only one to put in a waiver claim for him for Sunday, Ken. But Jason, I mean, I know that you've got a couple kicking around at the moment. I mean, you are still relatively learning learning the ropes with the rest of us.
Because right now what I'm looking at is I have Bobby Witt, and I have Volk, so I'm going to trade Volk, and then I'm going to draft Meyer.
Not a bad backup plan, to be fair, for Witt. I mean, you probably get a couple of shiny pieces. Yeah. But, I mean, is there anybody you're currently targeting in any of your first-year player drafts so far, or have you got any research onto what you would be doing so far, or you want to play your cards close to your chest?
Really, the Boston shortstop is the guy I'm doing with the first pick, and then once I'm down the list.
Fair enough. All right. All right, guys, we will be right back after a couple of minutes break, and we will be talking Muppet of the Week. We'll do a quick refresh on the NFL Super Bowl, because Gaskins wasn't able to join us for the special on Monday. I really want to hear his thoughts on everything that was, Refgate, as I'm calling it this week. And we'll go into Muppet of the Week, and we'll go from there. All right, see you in a second, guys. A zoom indeed. Welcome back to DST. As always, I'm Paul, John, Ken, and Jason are back with me. This time around, for the second half, I decided to put Mr. Murica from Florida back in our bottom right corner with his flag literally screaming into the tornado that is a hurricane. But there you go. All right. Gaskins wasn't with us on Monday because for some reason he had man flu or car trouble or something. I can't quite remember what it was, but obviously he missed our lovely little NFL Super Bowl recap, and all of a sudden he's disappeared on us. This is what happens when he decides to go mobile. He's there. Here he is. Can you still hear us, John?
Yeah, I had to take it off Wi-Fi, sorry.
So obviously you weren't here with us on Monday, and Big Sean, thankfully, saved your bacon and helped step in for us for our Super Bowl recap. Now, I know for a fact that you've been trolling me all week on GroupMe and via text message and whatever else. What did you think about the Super Bowl this weekend, bud?
That you lost the bet.
Hence why we have Mr. Murica screaming into a hurricane.
It's not what I thought it was. That was a crazy game, man. But as I was telling Sheila, because I was at her house.
Never going to let that go, are you?
Our first guest on the show, Sheila.
Never going to let that one go.
I was telling her how good of a game it was. I'd rather see a good game like that than a blowout, which I thought it was going to be. But the refs on that was crazy. But hey, the halftime show saved everything, right?
Absolutely, the halftime show was absolutely amazing. I said this in our Super Bowl special recap on Monday. I think that's easily one of the best halftime shows I've seen in the last 15 years, and definitely rivals up there with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake as one of my favourites anyway. But there you go. But I mean, you're talking about the refs, and obviously there was the face mask pull that was blown for the Higgins touchdown for Cincinnati. But for me, what really, really annoyed me, especially considering I was rooting for Cincy as much as everybody else was, but the two very, very dodgy, blatant calls that were made that weren't really calls, the holding and the pass interference towards the end, it gave Stafford and the Rams extra downs towards the end of the game. I mean, those final 2 minutes were crazy with some seriously screwed up bad calls. I mean, what's your take on that one, bud?
Well, you seem to spend a lot of time on those two calls and brush over the face mask call real quick, didn't you?
Hey, it wasn't a call that was made on the field. Was it a face mask? Yeah, probably it was, but it was a case of it wasn't called the touchdown stud. He got away with one. Whoop-de-doo.
They miss them. They miss them.
Exactly.
They miss them every game. They just get exaggerated a little bit more because it's the Super Bowl. But I mean, you got to keep rolling with it. You saw Jalen Ramsey didn't get the call. He didn't get upset. He didn't jump around. Well, not too much.
Yes, he did.
He picked himself back up and play the game. That's what you got to do. Go out there and play the game.
Yeah, I mean that missing a call like the face mask is one thing, but two blatant no calls with pass interference and holding. I mean, I've watched that footage back 30 times in the last few days, and I can't.
Led to a touchdown.
Yeah, I know, but so did the
points on the board.
Yeah, but so did the two calls that were made. Those
led to first down.
Yes, they led
to the touchdown.
So it's still the same effect.
Directly, he would not have scored a touchdown or even caught the ball if not for the face mask.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I got to disagree on this one. The face mask was a missed call, no doubt about it. I'll agree with you on this one, and I hate doing that. Yes, missed call. But at the end of the day, the two calls that weren't calls were, they were blatantly. I think Jason said it best during the special. The holding call made up for the face mask missed call. The pass interference, I've absolutely no idea what the hell they were thinking. I mean, seriously, if that was pass interference, then I'm God. That's how bad of a call that was.
They were all bad calls, but again, that's where you just got to keep going. I mean, just think about going back to the face mask. That's 6 points off the board.
Yeah, that's true. But all right, okay. So so you enjoyed the game. You know the missed calls. All right. Obviously, we and Ken and Jason with Sean on Monday, we had this discussion because I went a little bit nuts Monday night. Orlovsky again. Bounced around on national TV, literally 12 seconds after the game finished on his social media, basically being the biggest Matthew Stafford cheerleader, calling him a Hall of Famer and Super Bowl winner. I'll give him the Super Bowl winner because the team won him a Super Bowl. He didn't do jack in that game. But Orlovsky calling Stafford a Hall of Famer was a bit of a, I don't know how to put this, a bit of a piss take. And yes, I will put $1 in the swear jar for that one because, quite honestly, Orlovsky is the biggest clown on social media as well as the national television that I've ever seen in my life at this point. The guy's won exactly the same amount of Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers has got a Hall of Fame worthy career. Pat Stafford has not. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, Orlovsky, is he right? Is Stafford a Hall of Famer, or am I right in thinking that, quite frankly, he doesn't even deserve a nomination at this point in his career?
Well, at this point, I think just that I'm agreeing with you, and I don't like it.
I'll take it.
I agree. Stafford's nowhere near. No. Hall of Fame, no, not even in a discussion.
Fair enough. I mean, I know.
Yeah, that's not even debatable by anyone who watches the game.
No, and as a student of of enjoying
his career
sports,
stats just aren't there.
No, they're not. I mean, as much as he likes to pad his stats, and that's all he's done in Detroit. And quite frankly, Even his stats don't measure up to Hall of Fame worthy quarterbacks as far as I'm concerned. I think, quite honestly, Rodgers, as much as it pains me to say this out loud as a Lions fan, is more worthy of a Hall of Fame nomination, let alone getting in. I mean, I don't think Stafford is worthy of that, regardless of the Super Bowl win. Because I mean, even in this game, as much as everybody, all the Detroit Rams fans wants to say that we've won a trophy via osmosis, and no, you haven't. He won it for the Rams. He didn't win it for you. And it's just like, no. I see you nodding in agreement down there with me as well. And I know your opinion hasn't really changed much on this since Monday, but I mean, we've had 5 days of literally national media bagging on Detroit and saying that it was a dumpster fire, which it was, but it wasn't all. Stafford's not blameless on this. He was there for 12 years, and all he did was pad his stats at this point, and then he goes off, and 1 year later he screws the Lions out of a decently high draft pick again. I mean,
he may have padded his stats, but he didn't even do a good job at that.
No, he didn't. So this has been my argument, and any Stafford fan that's supposed to be a Lions fan, kind of it's just like, seriously, whatever Kool-Aid you're drinking, seriously, put that cup down. Jason, you're a Lions fan, much in the same way as I'm a Lions fan. Stafford winning and the Rams winning the Super Bowl, it's obviously basically put that 32 pick into basically a second round pick at this point. What are your thoughts with this?
Well, sadly, that's still going to probably be a QB. So I'm very curious to see who they grab at that pick. He will be forever tied to the Stafford trade.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I think if they trade down from 2, I don't think them using the 32 pick for a quarterback isn't a bad idea, because we all know that the Lions aren't going to stick with Goff after next year. He's 2 and done with the Lions, I think.
Mock drafts have them taking a QB.
Yeah, I've seen a few of the mock drafts having them take a QB, and to be honest with you, it's if they get value for the pick with a QB that's there. I mean, there's a Malik Willis, thank you. Malik Willis is a name I keep hearing being mentioned and around, and I don't know much of him. Jason, you're our resident college football master. Give us a rundown on Malik Willis, mate.
So he's a dual threat quarterback, running and passing, but he needs some seasoning. The closest one I can relate him to would be like a Trey Lance, where he plays in a lower school, Liberty. So therefore, that's why you didn't see him much.
Yeah.
But he's actually a good dual threat, and you can pick him up and coach him up, let him learn our golf for a year, and then move golf on.
Not a bad shout. Ken, I mean, have you heard much of Malik Willis yourself? I mean, or is this kind of like the first you're hearing?
I've been more focusing on baseball since it is, draft season and whatnot.
That's fair enough.
Even though baseball's not here because they suck, but anyways, no, I mean, I've seen a few reports of him, and I really haven't read anything about him. I did not have him on a fantasy team, so I don't know a lot about him. But I hate it for any quarterback that has to, first off, learn under Goff. Second, as a Detroit Lion, like, they're just gonna ruin him. They're gonna ruin him, and I hate that. Like.
Yeah, I kind of want to.
Because Burrow broke that chain in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So
in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, I will.
Detroit.
I gotta be honest with you. I'll agree with Ken a little bit here. If the head coach is still calling the offensive plays, then he's got some serious work to do. Dan Campbell is not an offensive coordinator. He was a tight ends coach. He got shoved into a head coaching job because he was cheap and he was willing to do it long term and take on the job training. There's nobody ever going to make an argument against that because it's just straight up truth. But I will say this: if the Lions were to go out and get themselves a bona fide offensive coach, grab a Malik Willis type off the off the draft board. If he was there, maybe this with a second round pick and go, they trade down from 2, which I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts that they are going to trade down from 2 if they don't take Thibs. I mean, Thibs is your pick for me. If you're sticking at 2, Thibs is your pick. I wouldn't take Hutchinson. I don't like the idea. This is not an anti-Michigan thing.
They're going to take Hutchinson.
I really hope they don't, because honestly, 2 reasons why. I think Thibs is a higher floor than Hutchinson, and I also don't like the idea of a hometown kid going to his hometown team and having all that immense pressure put on him. I don't think he has what it takes to withstand that particular pressure. I know, Jason, you're gonna call me a Sparty and everything else, but I genuinely don't. I think Thibs is the better of the 2 players, and I genuinely think if they don't take him, they trade down.
Paul, I got a hypothetical for you.
Hang on, John. 1 second. Jason, say that again.
The Thibs is sliding down. They're lowering him in the draft based on Senior Bowl and some of the other stuff, feedback. He's sliding down a little bit.
Well, then, if that's the case, then if you're a Lions, Brad Holmes, I'm trading down and I'm seeing where I can get him in the mid first round. Then, if I can pick up some extra capital on top of that, I would quite happily still take Thibs if he slides down to a slot where I think he's going to go, and I get that pick plus maybe a second round or a third round pick as well. I'm all for doing that trade. So I genuinely mean that. I still, as much as he's sliding down the draft boards at the moment, I would still take him at 2, if he's not taken number 1 overall, which I don't think he will be. And that's just me personally. I've again, this is one of those things where it's a guy I've been following, and much like I was following Hutch this season for Michigan when Michigan were on TV and for fantasy sports, much in the same way I was watching Kenneth Walker III. The hometown kids. I may not like Michigan. I may be a Sparty at heart. I may not like them, but I still follow them because I want to see where they're going to land in the draft. I want to see where they're going to land in potential first year player drafts for NFL drafts for fantasy reasons. So I keep an eye on these things. So if Thibs is falling down, I'm Brad Holmes. I'm trading down from 2. I'm going to land myself somewhere in the mid range of the first round. Maybe try and pick up an extra first round pick or maybe even a second round pick. That's a good deal for me from 2. If he picks up more than that, bonus that he's doing his job. Gaskins, you have a hypothetical.
You got your blood pressure cuff on?
No, I do not, sir, but carry on.
As a diehard Detroit fan, what would you do if they signed Aaron Rodgers?
Cry. But I would say that, honestly, I would cry a little bit because, quite frankly, he is the Antichrist, but... honestly, I mean,
imagine cheering for him every week.
God no, I just
I would cry.
You would have two of the co-hosts.
You would cry.
For varying different reasons. Don't get me wrong, Rodgers is a great quarterback. He's had a stellar career, but all signs state that he's heading towards Tennessee area-ish, I believe, or somewhere like that. He's not going to Tampa.
He's staying. They signed a former offensive coordinator to be his head or his quarterback coach.
Really? I haven't
talks all about.
Okay, yeah. So they're making moves to keep him. So okay, well right. then he's a pox on your house and you can keep him. So hypothetical over with. But no. Honestly, if the weirdest thing to happen now is if you don't take a quarterback in the draft, especially for the Lions, I'd go out and try and find somebody, because I'm not convinced that Tua is going to stay in Miami, and I think you could possibly grab him with the late first round pick. That would be somebody that would be quite a decent reclamation project for the Lions anyway. And to be honest with you, he was the pick you should have had instead of Okuda in the first place.
Jimmy G?
For a year, maybe I wouldn't mind it, but I mean, again, it'll become the cap. They've got the cap space, and they're going to build the defense through the draft, and the offensive line will come through free agency. And they've still got to find some weapons for Goff. He's going to be here for another year. I think you trade. If in a perfect world they trade down from 2 for some extra draft capital and they try and entice Miami with that number 32 pick and say, here, take it, give us Tua. That's what I was hoping for, and this is why I was praying for Stafford and the Rams to lose, so we'd end up with a mid late teens, early 20s pick to make it that much more valuable. But the fact that the douchebag and co and the super team won the Super Bowl, it's kind of crimped up the plans a little bit especially from a fan's perspective anyway. But it is what it is. I mean, would I like to see him try and entice Brady out of retirement? Absolutely. Brady in Detroit for a year, be funny as hell. There's a hypothetical for you, John.
Then he would be the GOAT if he could win in Detroit.
I tell you what, exactly.
Yeah, I'd give it to him then.
Even Packers fans would have to give it to him then. Let's face it. I mean, that's how much of a miracle worker that is. Imagine Gronk and Brady in Detroit. That would be amazing. I mean, but there you go. All right.
That's ridiculous.
It is, but it's also quite it's one of those fun matchups that screw it, let's try it and see what happens. All right, we're gonna end this show as we always do with Muppet of the Week, and this week we've had no shortage of candidates. Gaskins, you've got one that I think is funny, but possibly not quite worthy of the nomination because, quite honestly, I don't understand why you've got beef. But explain it to us.
What do you mean not worthy? He should be the winner of the week. It's Eric Dickerson from the St. Louis Rams, Hall of Fame running back, right?
Okay.
So they offer him some tickets, free tickets to the Super Bowl because he played for the Rams, Hall of Fame with the Rams. Let him go to the Rams Super Bowl. Turns them down because they're nosebleed tickets.
Okay.
You arrogant, pompous, entitled prick.
Oh, swear jar, boys and girls.
I'll pay for the swear jar for that one. Dude, how entitled do you have to be to turn down Super Bowl tickets because they're not good enough for you? I mean, literally, come on. That's a goat or a moat. I'm sorry. Muppet of the Week all day long.
Okay, well, there's Gaskins' nomination. Obviously, I have the final say, so I'll hear all stories this week. Ken, you've got a one for yourself this week as well.
Oh yeah, Mumford. I mean,
Munford. What, and Sons?
Hey, well, that's all he deserves.
Oh wow.
Man, like it's just get your head out of your behind, and we want baseball. Like I get it's not hurting your pocketbook. You still get paid. Or does he? I mean, I don't even.
He's the Manfred's the owner's lapdog.
Well, essentially, he needs to put in place things that can put in place the instruction to get stuff done. Because he, like you said, he's just kind of a headpiece that. He's two guys do things.
Yeah, he's basically Manfred's always has been the owner's mouthpiece and will continue to be the puppet with which the owners have their hand up his backside. Quite honestly, he's a worthy candidate this week because, quite honestly, if you've got your chief negotiator and your team and yourself walking out of a meeting after 15 minutes, you are a total and utter muppet. And again, worthy nominee this week. Jason, you've got one. Give it to us.
Right. Oh, and I steal this from John because John almost names him every week. But, I love LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Goes to the Super Bowl, biggest thing in LA, huge. He's there at the game, supporting his boys, all that. Minutes after the Super Bowl, he's out there on Twitter and saying, "Hey, all right, let's have the Rams. They're going to do their parade and all that, but we needed to have the Lakers." And then he throws in the Dodgers too. He's like, all three of us should have one more parade. I'm like, I'm sorry, you won 2 years ago. Our guys, Dodgers won last year.
Yeah.
Braves won this year. So what are we doing? Like, it was the Rams' time. They did it. They won it all. All the talk shows, everybody should be focused on them. And you're trying to steal the spotlight and take it, shine on yourself again. After the stuff in Miami and they moved back to Cleveland, like I thought you'd get your reputation back. Nope, still want the spotlight all the time.
Yeah, all the douche all the time. So there you go. I unfortunately have several this week, starting with Matt Stafford. Now Gaskins gave me this one this week because I actually missed this one because I've been in the dregs that is Cornwall and in the back end of nowhere with little to no signal this week. And Matt Stafford seen laughing as a photographer falls off a stage during said Super Bowl parade. She falls off the stage, and you can clearly see that Stafford's laughing his ass off and being a general douchebag jerk. And yes, I'm not going to put $1 in the swear jar for that one, because quite frankly, it's true. The only person to give her monkeys is Kelly, and I give respect to Kelly because woman's been through enough. I mean, hell, she's been married to Stafford for God knows how long. That woman deserves more than a medal. She needs a planet named after her, but there you go. So one of my nominations this week is Matt Stafford for being a total and utter dick. The other one for me this week is the NFL referees from the Super Bowl with their blatant handing of a title to the LA Rams. I'm sorry, but it's the only way I can see it, and quite honestly, I was so pissed on Sunday night, Monday morning, because quite honestly, up until the last 2 minutes of the game, the refs have been called, even with the missed face mask call. The refs had a very, very smooth, very, very clear, good game, and they didn't get involved. They didn't try and make a name for themselves. They didn't try and pull an Angel Hernandez or a Joe West and try to make it all, or a LeBron James and make it all about them. The refs did really well until the final 2 minutes of the game. And then they went to town and did everything that they could to hand Stafford and the Rams a title, because they were at home, and that's how it was supposed to play out, even though Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals were up by 4. So the refs for me this week are definitely going on the Muppet of the Week list. And my final nomination, I hate this clown with every fibre of my being. Dan Orlovsky. Yes, I will happily put $1 in the swear jar for that one. Dan Orlovsky, again, this week, being Stafford's biggest goddamn cheerleader. Now, again, I got due respect for him being Stafford's friend. I really do. I mean, it can't be easy being, a guy that just, a friend to a guy that just pads his stats. Being, everybody should have a cheerleader. Everybody should have a cheerleader like this. But I'm serious to God. I said this on Twitter. I said this on Facebook as well. If you're going to be that much of a cheerleader, right, and you're going to be that much of a douche about being a cheerleader, you better be dressed up in a tight little miniskirt, flash your pom-poms around, and be better looking than Dan Orlovsky, because quite frankly, you is one ugly motherfucker. And not only that, but not 12 seconds, and you can check this on Twitter, right? 12 seconds after the Super Bowl had finished, he's on Twitter calling Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer. And I'm sorry, but no person that watches American football can ever have that kind of credibility, just literally ripped away from him with literally one tweet. Orlovsky managed to do it this week. Dumbass Muppet of the Week. And personally, he's my personal favourite this week to win it again. I'm pretty sure he won it a few weeks ago, and quite honestly, he deserves it again this week. So, what do you reckon, guys? I mean, I've got 3, you've all got 1 each. Ken, you got something?
I want to know what American football is.
Sorry, the NFL.
Kind of football?
Yes, there's the football that you play with your feet. It's called the English Premier League, dumbass.
That's called soccer. We're talking about football.
Oh, good God. I will educate you at some point in my favorite redneck.
I want to go ahead and make it where this Orlovsky pick doesn't rise. So he did what a journalism is supposed to do.
No, it was. I'm sorry, but no, it was journalistic malpractice. Is what he was doing.
Let me finish. He has you talking about it a week later.
No, okay. To be fair, it was more of a.
He took a side, and we already hit him for Muppet of the Week last week.
A couple of weeks ago.
Whatever it be, we already hit him. So for you to still be talking about it, still be getting your blood pressure up, he did his job.
My blood pressure's fine. I've got a monitor here that says
he's hot or not. Whatever you were saying about how cute he is and all this and that, it doesn't matter. So
no, I said it.
Downgrade him to a no.
Okay, first things first, I never once said he was hot. Second of all, I said if he's going to be a cheerleader and dress up in the cute little cheerleader outfit and wave his pom-poms around, he needs to be goddamn better looking than he currently is.
Hey, whatever you like, man,
Yeah, shut up. All right, so you're not on the Orlovsky train like I am. Fine, Jason. Where are your loyalties lying this week? Bearing in mind you've been fired twice already this week for being the dumbass.
Sorry, I'm going Muppet of the Week because I would love to have gone to the Super Bowl, and I don't have the money to ever afford a ticket to go. I'm going Eric Dickinson.
All right. No. To be fair, it's as much as it pains me to say it, it's probably going to win. But go on, Gaskins. I assume that you're not going to change your vote, and it's going to be Dickinson for you as well, right?
No, anytime LeBron's Muppet of the Week, I'm down for LeBron. I don't care.
Oh wow. Okay, so Ken, where are you? All right, so he's going with LeBron. You're going with Dickinson. Ken, where are you going?
I'm gonna go Dickerson as well. I mean, it's like, come on, man. Like, how many people would love to have been there and rub elbows with all the other people, all the other famous, whether it be LeBron, as bum as he is, or the actors of different sets, J-Lo. I mean, come on, she was getting it at halftime. So you're gonna tell me Eric Dickerson's above that?
All right. To be fair, you've all made great arguments. I think I've made fantastic arguments myself for all three of my nominations this week. So while I'm going to do something different this week with the Muppet of the Week, I'm going to have just one winner. They're all going to win this week because, quite frankly, I think they're all worthy. I know we're going to have our first Muppets of the week because, quite frankly, every single nomination this week has been worthy of being nominated and are all worthy winners of Muppet of the Week. So this week's Muppets of the Week: Rob Manfred, LeBron James, Eric Dickerson, Dan Orlovsky, Matt Stafford, and the NFL referees in the final 2 minutes. There you go, boys. Hopefully you guys are still watching and you haven't completely gone to bed. We really appreciate you watching. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Obviously you can follow us on Twitter at 3 Yanks and a Brit. Mine's at Robbo17010A. All the guys are on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. The links are in the description below. We will all see you guys next week, where hopefully we'll have some movement on baseball and we might actually see some spring training games. Praise Jeebus. We may have to devolve and maybe watch some NBA, as much as it pains me. I will be starting to watch
college balls on.
I was going to say we are going to start getting prepped for March Madness in the next few next little while.
Baseball, bro.
Oh, we can do college baseball as well. If it's the thing is, I'm going to find out where it's being aired. So that will be a conversation.
SEC Plus.
That'll be somewhere where we go after the show to discuss. But yes, college baseball, March Madness is obviously coming up, which is something I always look forward to every year because it's the one time of college basketball that I actually do enjoy. So hopefully baseball gets its act together and we will hopefully be able to report some great news and tell you when spring training is going to start. For the boys, I'm Paul. Nice. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Cheers. Later.